Tonight on Best Bits, Cub Swanson derailed Nate the Train. Paulo Costa obliterated Azamat Muzakhanov. And Carlos Ulberg rendered Yuri Procházka unconscious with one leg. UFC 327 just wrapped up, and you know what? It was pretty decent. It was a slow burner. It was a pretty. So I predicted it was going to be a little bit of a slow card in the prediction video. I wasn't wrong. It was a little bit of a slow card. I mean, not a lot of fights on the card either. Like we got was it 11 or 12 fights? 12 fights. 12 fights on the whole card. So little bit of a weird one, and it was a slow burner like I predicted. But the first fight tonight was Charles Radke versus Francisco Prado. I mean, yeah, unanimous decision. Charles Radke wins it. No arguments from me. I do think we picked Prado for this one, but who cares? Early prelim fight, pretty boring to be honest with you. It wasn't all that. It was mildly entertaining. It wasn't incredible, but it was mildly entertaining. It was all right. It was all right, you know. Then we had Vicente Luque versus Kelvin Gastelum. But yeah, again, like just Kelvin Gastelum's just fat, isn't he? At the end of the day, Kelvin Gastelum is just fat. It looked like he was going to come out there and put the pressure on Vicente Luque, and I was a little bit worried for Vicente Luque. I was thinking, shit, you know, Kelvin Gastelum can just push the pace, and maybe Vicente will just not want to take too much damage. And I thought maybe that's how it would play out, but no, you know, Kelvin Gastelum is fat. And you know he did stupid fat things, and yeah, so he gets submitted in the first round. Like he basically threw the fight away. He was winning the first round. It was close, but he was pulling ahead in that first round. He was just being more active, and Vicente was just being too timid. And then Kelvin just gives up his neck pretty much. It was very bizarre, very bizarre. But Vicente Luque gets it done over Kelvin Gastelum. Not really, you know. Both past the prime, not really anything to write home about again, but still, it was mildly entertaining, and we did get a finish. We did predict this going to a decision, but we did get a finish in this one. Next fight was Chris Padilla versus Markel Medeiros. I don't know what went down here. This was a draw. Shit fight, to be honest with you. Shitty poo fight. Boring fight. I got paid out for Chris Padilla. I put money on Chris Padilla. I got paid out for it, and then it got changed into a draw. So I don't even know how that played out, but I kept the money, so robbed Bet365 there with a couple of pennies. But yeah, I don't even know what went down. I'd have to go back and check it out properly. But yeah, weird ending to a fight. Okay, so just want to make sure. This happened last week as well. I just didn't have money on it, so I wasn't too invested. So Chris Padilla gets his hand raised as winning the fight. Gets his hand raised. He won the fight. Fucks off thinking he's won. And then after the fact, they're like, oh, by the way, that was a mistake. That should have been a draw. So yeah, I know there was some fouls. There was a lot of timeouts throughout the fight. Bit of a very, very sloppy, very messy fight, to be honest with you. And to be honest, it wasn't all that entertaining anyway. So yeah, moving on. Chris Padilla gets his victory reset. I don't even know. Gets his victory taken from him. Stepped back, if you will. Anyway, next fight was Tatiana Suarez versus Lupita Godinez. I don't know why I mixed them up. I had a dyslexia attack. My apologies. Yeah. Tatiana Suarez gets it done. Submission. I did say this was likely going to a decision. However, there is submission potential from Tatiana Suarez. In fact, I said, didn't I say submission for Tatiana Suarez, even though I was picking? No, I can't remember precisely. I'm not going to take credit for that. But we did pick Tatiana Suarez, so we'll take that. Yeah. I mean, again, not much to say about it. It wasn't the most entertaining of fights. It was decent little back and forth in round one, and then Tatiana Suarez pulls ahead in round 2 definitively, and then even finishes the fight with the rear naked choke. Lupita Godinez, what a shame. I didn't rate her that highly to begin with in the first place. You know, she's not terrible, but like, she just got like, just basic, you know, like a UFC heavyweight, but we'll get to that. Basic. The next fight was Mateusz Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovic. We went with Mateusz Gamrot, you know, dark horse. Dark horse of the division, I used to call him. Yeah, I mean, Mateusz Gamrot's good. Always in shape, always ready. Always a reliable pick, to be honest with you. Always a reliable pick. 4 losses, you know. He's not infallible, but, you know, he's a good, dependable pick. And you know what? He does it again. Can't be mad at Mateusz Gamrot. Consistently a good fighter, consistently putting on a decent little show as well. And you know what? It was an alright scrap. It wasn't like, again, it wasn't barn burner, this is incredible, but it was just enough to keep you like, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, Mateusz is still Mateusz Gamrot, he's still doing his thing. But yeah, a decent fight again. Decent little scrap again. It's just, none of these fights were like, none of these fights on the prelim or the early prelim were like, whoa, that was incredible. You know, it just wasn't. There was a couple of good moments. So like Mateusz Gamrot gets the arm triangle finish, beautifully sets it up, nice and tight, gets it in there. You know, great. What a win! Brilliant technical victory. You know, technical victory. Would you call it that? A technician's victory. We'll say that to make it more clear what I mean. A technician's victory for Mateusz Gamrot. But like I say, a technician's victory. You know, as simple as. It felt like watching a guy change a light bulb, you know? Watching a guy change a fuse. And he knows what he's doing. It's a routine, you just change the bulb. Fresh one in, you know? You just fuse out, fuse in. Nice and, you know, wasn't anything to write home about. It was just a fight. And that was a lot of this card. In fact, so we go through all of that, and then we get Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. And Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown was one of those fights where it's like, both of these guys are a little bit awkward in their style. Both of these guys have knockout potential. Both of these guys have submission potential, just because neither can really grapple that well. But yeah, it was one of those fights. It was one of those fights where it's like, this could be a fucking banger. This could be fight of the year. This had potential to be fight of the year. Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. And it was stinky. It was stinky poo. And you know what? After sitting through all of these previous fights, after sitting through 5 of the previous fights, you know, it was kind of like, oh, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here? Kevin Holland, trash. Still awful. Just irritating. Just irritating. Randy Brown, let down as well, to be honest with you. Absolutely let down. Just didn't push the pace at any point in the fight. Just let it pass him by. Maybe it was on short notice. I seem to recall it being on short notice for some reason. But yeah, Randy Brown just didn't make an attempt to put himself in the fight. It just didn't. And then we had Kevin Holland being like, you want to play basketball? And it's like, it's not even that kind of fight, Kev. You're not whooping him. You got to be whooping him to be talking like this, Kev. And yeah, so I guess they're gonna play basketball sometime after it. Whatever goes down, I guess. However you do it. But yeah, it was a boring decision. Kevin Holland wins it. Boring decision. They spend the last round just hugging. They spend the third round just hugging and kissing against the fence. Very boring. Absolute snooze fest. Then we have Aaron Pico versus Patricio Pitbull. Yeah, it was an alright scrap, to be fair. Both guys. You know, this fight should have happened a long time ago, a fair few years ago. But we get it now instead, and Pitbull just didn't have an answer for Pico, and Pico just couldn't seem to finish Pitbull. Pitbull just managed to stay safe all the way until the end. It was a decent little scrap. Should have seen these two guys fight like in Bellator or something. You know, probably should have had that, to be honest with you. Not waiting until the big 26 to get this one going. But, you know, again, that's just how it goes, isn't it? That's just how it goes. That's just how it be. But Aaron Pico gets it done. To be honest with you, Aaron Pico was in control for the majority of the fight. There wasn't really a moment where I thought, oh, Patricio Pitbull's going to come back here. Pitbull's going to come back any second now. There wasn't really a moment like that. It was more Aaron Pico just doing really, really slick boxing work and just beating up Pitbull badly. And Pitbull just not really having an answer for it and just not really being able to come back with it. So yeah, a bit of a shame for Pitbull, but that's just how it be. Aaron Pico moves forward in the UFC, I guess. It's a shame, really. We could have had Aaron Pico against someone maybe like a bit, I don't know how to describe it, like a bit more accomplished in the UFC. Obviously, this is a fight that fans wanted to see a long time ago, and it's good that we get it now. Even if it is outside of the promotion where we wanted it. It's a strange one. But yeah, Pico gets it done. Pitbull should probably just retire, man. To be honest, Pitbull should probably just retire. Moving on, because this is now the main card, so it's very rare as of recent times for the main cards to be like the thing that saves the card. Sometimes it'll be like the prelims are decent, the early prelims are trash, the prelims are decent, main cards blowing ass, and then the main event saves it. But no, this is one of the rare occasions where the fucking prelim was like mid. So the early prelim was mid, then the prelim was just a little bit above mid, but still basically mid. And then we go into the main card, and it gets good. It gets really good. So, first fight on the main card. We have a hurdle, but we'll get there. First fight, main card, Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. We had Nate Landwehr. We thought he could do it. We thought Nate the Train would just smash right through Cub Swanson. Not pay him any respect, not pay him any mind. But no, Cub Swanson, legend in the game. I mean, what more can you say? Legend of the game is right. Put the man in the Hall of Fame. Cub Swanson, man, gets it done. Round 1, knocks Nate the Train unconscious, takes the W. Absolutely emphatic. Shame for Nate Landwehr, but Cub Swanson retires on that as well. So right there, in front of a Miami crowd, in front of his wife and kids, gets the finish and retires on top, man. Retires on top with one hell of a performance. It was like he was a young man again. It really was. It was like it was 2013. And it was incredible. It was really, really good. Really, really good to see. And Cub Swanson gets it done, man. Cub Swanson gets it done. Really, really good work from Cub. Nate Landwehr just didn't really get a moment in the entire fight, to be honest with you. I mean, it was only one round. It only 4 minutes, 6 seconds of a round. So, Nate Landwehr really just didn't even get a chance to get started. Maybe landed one strike. But Cub Swanson was just on and was just pressure, landing strikes, constantly moving forward, cutting off the cage as well. Nate Landwehr had nowhere to go. Swanson was just cutting off the cage and cutting those angles and making it smaller and smaller and smaller. And right away, Nate Landwehr was feeling the pressure. So it was entertaining, man. It was good. It was a really good fight. It really boosted the energy after this kind of early prelim and prelim. I suppose it was just a prelim. There was so few fights. It was basically just a slightly longer prelim. But yeah, poor pacing earlier on, and then this really this imbued us. This was like, oh, that was really good. Cub Swanson's going out on top. This is great. The vibes really lifted. The vibes really raised, if you will. Then we had Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. Now I said the main card redeemed this card, like the main events, the main card, the main 6 or 5 fights. They redeemed this card. That's true. This is not included in that little selection, okay? Johnny Walker versus Dominic Reyes was fucking boring. Like, we just watched Cub Swanson make history and go out on top with a great win over Nate Landwehr. Not like a young prospect or anything, but still a dangerous guy in Nate Landwehr. Can finish you, is hard to put away. So yeah, it was really good. Cub Swanson goes out on top. Everyone's got high spirits. And then we have to sit through 15 minutes of Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker just having a staring match. Just having a staring contest. Oh, it was terrible. It was boring. It was awful. It was awful. Johnny Walker had a good round 1. And then it was just kind of stalemate from there, to be honest with you. Could have gone either way. Dominic Reyes wins the split decision. Can't argue with it. Boring fight though. Boring fight. It's disappointing, man. Disappointing to see. I'm a big fan of Johnny Walker, and I wanted to see some. You know what it was? I think the nerves got to Johnny. And that's what it was. The nerves got to Johnny Walker, and he lost his cartoon powers. He lost his Looney Tune powers, and he couldn't do any Looney Tune antics. That's what it was. There was no antics from Johnny Walker. There was one. He did like a fourth wall break where he was in the corner. He looked at the camera like he always does. But like that's just middle of the road Johnny Walker. You know, we needed more like we needed Johnny Walker to pull a hammer out, like a big inflatable hammer, and hit Dominic Reyes with it. You know. We needed them to paint a hole in the floor and have Dominic Reyes fall into it. We needed something like that. But Johnny Walker's Looney Tune powers just weren't really turned on today. Well, last night. So, yeah. Dominic Reyes wins a split decision. Can't argue with it, to be honest with you. I think Dominic Reyes did win that fight. But it was close. It was close. Moving on. Josh Hokit versus Curtis Blaydes. This is an honourable mention, I suppose. This is an honourable mention. Couldn't put it in best bits just because, there was no like finish. It was really good. It was a proper scrap. Like, it was one of those fights where there was a finishing sequence in every round. Just no one got finished. It was one of those kind of fights. And I mean, a banger. Just a banger of a decision. I mean, one of those fights where there really is a finishing sequence every round, but no one gets finished. And it just keeps going. And you're thinking to yourself, this surely has to end eventually. But it didn't. And Josh Hokit put a beating on Curtis Blaydes. Like, absolutely beat down Curtis Blaydes. Whooped him bad. Like, was just beating him up. Curtis kept trying to fire back and stay in the fight, but he just couldn't put anything, effective, anything truly effective together against Josh Hokit. And Hokit just kept coming and kept pressuring and just kept eating the shots that Curtis would throw at him and then just kept giving them back. He had Curtis on skates so many times throughout the fight, and Blaydes just kind of hung on. I mean, showboating all the way throughout as well. Went in there smaller as well. Went in there the smaller man. Weighed less, was shorter. Went out there and just scrapped and just turned it into a scrap. And I've never seen anyone do that to Curtis Blaydes. That was impressive. Like, Hokit just went out there, pedal to the metal. Curtis Blaydes too, man. Curtis Blaydes too. Brilliant fight. Just absolutely spectacular fight. Brilliant back and forth. Both guys went to war. They beat each other up, man. They beat each other up. Hokit went out there to perform, man. I ain't the biggest fan of Josh Hokit's antics. I'm not. But if he keeps fighting like that, who gives a fuck what I think? If he keeps fighting like that, he can say whatever he wants on a microphone. Who cares? That was a decent scrap. That was really, really good. Entertaining as anything. Probably one of the best fights of all time. Don't want to undersell it to you. Probably one of the best fights of all time. Actually was. Incredible fight. Both guys exhausted and still pushing and throwing with everything they've got, and we're still hitting each other in the third round with like no energy left, and we're just throwing haymakers and falling all over the place. It was brilliant. A really good fight. Really, really good fight. Not something you see up at heavyweight very often, but thank goodness we got it this time. Josh Hokit, man. Josh Hokit. Big things in the future for Hokit. Co-main event time. Paulo Costa versus Azamat Muzakhanov. We went with Paulo Costa for this one. In fact, we went with Paulo Costa by TKO. What can I say? Built different. But yeah, Paulo went out there, did not respect Azamat Muzakhanov for a second. Very important that we do that with someone like Azamat Muzakhanov, who is so well-rounded. Just showed him no respect. And honestly, biggest weapon in that whole fight, the body kicks. The body kicks from Paulo Costa onto Azamat Muzakhanov. My lord, every single time it was just like this thud, like, it was heavy kicks to the body. Just, I can't describe it. It was like It was like the sound of like Rocky Balboa with the cows in the freezer. That like wet thunk sound, that like that hollow thudding of the chest cavity, if you will. But yeah, every time he'd throw that kick, and it was money, man. It was money. It was finding its way right under that elbow of Muzakhanov, right under the elbow of Muzakhanov, blasting him over and over again in the ribs. Really good throughout the fight as well. He was doing that over and over. Really, really good. Um, Good pressure too. Round two, Muzakhanov kind of fought back and put a lot of pressure on Paulo Costa, and Costa just went with it. Costa just weathered the storm, rolled with the punches, kind of turned the momentum back on Azamat Muzakhanov, and Muzakhanov couldn't get it back again after that. Like, it just quickly flipped in favour of Azamat and then flipped back to Paulo, and it was over. It was like in time, you know? They were doing the weird time battle thingy. The in time battle thing. That's what it was like. But no, Paulo Costa stole all the time. But yeah, going into the third round, on the stool after the second round, we're getting ready for the third, and Paulo's corner just says like, yeah man, just go out there, give it all you've got. I don't want you to think about how tired you are. You're winning this fight. You're doing everything you need to do. You're winning this fight. Just don't be tired. Just go out there and put it on him. And so Paulo Costa went out there as if he was fresh as anything. Big glug of water, big glug of secret juice, and then he went out there like he was fresh as a daisy. And put a head kick on Azamat Muzakhanov, and it was like a delayed reaction. It hit Azamat. It was in the compilation of best bits, but hits Azamat Muzakhanov with the head kick, and Azamat like wobbles for a second, and he's like, "I'm good," and then he's like, "Actually, you know what? I'm not good," and then just takes the fall with grace. Just says, "Nah, man, I'm done." There was a head kick before the finishing one, which Azamat managed to stop with his arm. And it looked like it fucked his arm up, to be honest with you. It really did. I mean, and throughout the fight, even the shots, even the body kicks, when he was trying to block those with his arm, sometimes they would hit the arm and still just like ride through and down into the ribs anyway, or into the body anyway. And so it was like, is it really worth taking all this damage on the arms? Maybe we should just get out the way of those kicks. But he couldn't do it. He was trying to close the distance and get onto the hips of Paulo and try and take him down, or maybe use the boxing work. He's got some good boxing work. There's Azamat Muzakhanov, and he was trying to use the hands, get close enough to use the hands, but Paulo just wouldn't let him close the distance. And it would work every time Azamat would close the distance and try and put hands on Paulo. That was when he would have the most success. Not so much in the grappling. Paulo was too strong, I think, to really have Azamat impose his will. But when it came to the boxing, that's where Azamat had the most success. But he just couldn't get inside. He couldn't get past the kicks and the range of Paulo Costa. Paulo just wouldn't let it happen. But yeah, really entertaining fight again. Paulo digs deep, comes out fresh in the third round, fresher than he looked in the second after a war as well, and puts it on Azamat Muzakhanov, knocks him out, takes away his O. Really good performance from Paulo Costa. Goes and says hello to Donald Trump after it. Says hello to thanks Dana White, and Dana White's like, that guy was 16-0. Great job, Paulo. Paulo's like, I know, I pissed. But yeah, I'm super congested. Pardon me. But yeah, excellent win. Excellent win for Paulo. Very emphatic win for Paulo. I very much enjoyed it. I'm a big Paulo Costa fan, so I was happy to see that too. Shame for Azamat Muzakhanov, loses his O, but that's what happens when you get to the UFC. You know? Best of the best, the upper echelons. I know they don't pay them anything, but technically they're the best of the best. You don't pay them like they're the best of the best, but they're the best of the best. Who cares about fighter pay? Why do I care? Finally, main event time, the big one. Yuri Procházka versus Carlos Ulberg. This was Yuri's fight to win. The stars were aligned for Yuri. You know, everyone knew, this is time. It's time for Yuri to get the light heavyweight belt back. He hasn't got an Alex Pereira to contend with, Goes out there. Decent little exchange at the start of the first round. Looks like Yuri's putting on the pressure. Carlos Ulberg's kind of trying to find a way in, trying to find the counter on Yuri, and occasionally they're landing, but Yuri isn't really. Yuri took a big shot and was kind of like, that's not enough. And there was that little moment really early in the fight where it was like, Yuri's got this. He's going to be able to eat these shots if he just keeps doing what he's doing. And it was like Carlos Ulberg knew it too and started being like, okay, I need to think of a better way to set this up so he doesn't see it coming, so I can try and surprise him with it, land a bit more damage with the surprise. Because the shots you don't see coming, so you have to kind of disguise them. So Carlos Ulberg's trying to set up a little disguise. Yuri's pushing. Carlos Ulberg throws a kick and blows his knee out. Just lands funny on his knee, steps funny on his knee. His knee like rolls to the inside. Definitely some sort of tendon ligament damage. Definitely blown some sort of ligament, some sort of cartilage has been ruined in the knee of Carlos Ulberg. Probably going to need a surgery by the looks of it. Maybe not. Maybe just some respite. Maybe just a bit of rest. Hopefully, fingers crossed, just a bit of rest. But yeah, Carlos Ulberg's knee is injured, and it was bad enough that it was giving him problems from that moment throughout the rest of the fight as it went. And Yuri Procházka saw it. Yuri seen him go down on the leg, and was like, "Yo, that looks bad." So he kicked him in the leg, and Carlos Ulberg went down, man, went down hard, and it was like, "Oh, okay, that leg's hurt." And he gets back up, and then Yuri doesn't say it, but Yuri's basically like, "This guy's hurt his leg. Like, this isn't a thing." So Yuri starts gesturing him to come and stand in the middle and we'll just box, is basically what Yuri says. And Carlos Ulberg says no. So Yuri kicks him in the leg again, and Carlos Ulberg falls down again. And he gets back up, and Yuri's like, "Come on, fight me, stand in the middle and fight me." And Carlos Ulberg's like, "No, I've got one leg as it is. I'm still in this round. I'm probably not going to be able to come out for the second round. This is as bad as what I think it is. But it's as bad as Not So Lethal thinks it is. Probably not going to be able to come out in the second round and contend. Might not be able to get up off the stool by myself unassisted, which means I would have to forfeit the fight." So Carlos Ulberg is like, "Nah, man, I'm not going," getting dragged into a warrior. And so he backs off, eats a couple more leg kicks, gets knocked down a couple of times. I think he even fell over it one time. Like, he just couldn't put it down right. It was rolling all over the place. But he stood through the adversity. And so then Yuri Procházka again pushes him and pressures him and demands that he stands toe to toe and scrap. And basically Yuri Procházka, in my opinion, Yuri Procházka was being like, "Listen, you're injured. We can just stand and bang right now. Let me knock you out. And, maybe we'll do a rematch. You were injured. Well, I'll give you your best chance of winning if we both just stand in the middle and we trade." But Carlos Ulberg says no. So Yuri pressures him and then screams at him and demands that he, fight him in the middle. So Carlos Ulberg finally comes at him, lands like a jab, and Yuri backs up, which kind of annoyed me because you can't demand the guy stand there in the middle and fight and then back up like a whole... Like, he backed up from one side all the way to the other in that exchange, and I was kind of like, "Yuri, you can't ask the man to stand and bang, and when he comes at you, you don't stand and bang." But whatever, because Yuri kicks the leg of Carlos Ulberg again, but this time Carlos Ulberg doesn't go down. He just backs up, and he backs up, and Yuri pressures, and he backs up, and he hits the fence, and then Yuri decides, "You know what? I'm just going to go for it." And as Yuri decides, "You know what? I'm just going to go for it," it's already too late, because in that exchange of backing up, Carlos Ulberg threw the check left hook. He threw it, and then he feinted it. He threw it and he feinted it, but that wasn't measuring. He threw it out to see where it would go, and then as Yuri closed the distance, he threw it a second time, and Yuri's chin walked right into it, right on the tip of the chin. Boom! Yuri spins, falls to the ground, and it's over. Carlos Ulberg lands a couple more follow-up strikes, went down with the ground and pound, but nah, man. That left hook, that check hook, out of nowhere, fast as anything, just catches Yuri, switches him off. Carlos Ulberg, on one leg, chins Yuri Procházka. Can't make it up. You just can't make it up. But yeah, so Carlos Ulberg, provided his knee is okay, is the light heavyweight champion. Wouldn't it be a shame if it's fucking still... The light heavyweight belt is kind of cursed, where it seems that a lot of the people who get it just have to vacate it immediately because they get injured. Yuri Procházka being one of them. Jamal Hill. There's a bunch of them. Not Alex Pereira, though. But yeah, I think that wraps up best bits, to be honest with you. Not the most in-depth one, my apologies. I'll be honest with you, the first half of the card wasn't really anything to write home about. I think it really picked up with the Mateus Gamrot fight was good, it was entertaining. So was the Tatiana Suarez. The women did a thing, it just wasn't that big of a thing this time. But I think the Tatiana Suarez fight was like, okay, that's alright, that was okay, that was decent performance from the women. Then Mateus Gamrot, and it was like, yeah, that was decent as well, good pressure, good, still entertaining, maybe not, flashy, but still entertaining. Then Randy Brown versus Kevin Holland, awful fight to watch, just awful fight to watch. Aaron Pico, Patricio Pitbull, not the most entertaining fight. moderate entertainment value. Cub Swanson, Nate Landwehr. Yeah, it was good. It was a feel-good fight. Cub Swanson gets the win. It was a feel-good fight. But then all that momentum that was built up by Cub Swanson, going out on top and ending his career with a win, gets just sucked out of the fucking room by Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker's absolute poo fight. And Johnny Walker as well. I suppose if we're talking about fourth wall breaks from Johnny Walker, while they were waiting to get the hand raised, Johnny Walker was listening to the crowd booing, being like, so that was a little bit comical, I suppose. But yeah, Dominic Reyes wins that one, and so Johnny, you lost. But yeah, it was a weird card. It was weird. I think the turning point was definitely because I want to say the turning point of the card was Mateus Gamrot, but we had stinky Kevin Holland, Randy Brown after that, and then Dominic Reyes, Johnny Walker, 2 fights after that. So I don't know if I want to say that, that's the moment the card started, had a turnaround. Maybe that's too early. Maybe I could say Cub Swanson, Nate Landwehr's where it starts getting good, but then immediately after that's Dominic Reyes, Johnny Walker. That was the problem, is that there was a bunch of false starts. I think that's what it was. There was 2 false starts. We had a decent performance from Tatiana Suarez, followed by Mateus Gamrot, and them together was quite a fair bit of, okay, this is getting good now, this is good. If we combine the hype from those 2 fights, yeah, this is getting good, this. And then it all just got sucked out the room by Kevin Holland and Randy Brown. And then we get a bit more energy because, Aaron Pico wobbled Patricio Pitbull. It wasn't amazing, but it was, there was a bit of hype around it. And then, Cub Swanson goes out on top, and it's like, yeah, all the hype's back. And then it gets sucked out the room by Johnny Walker and Dominic Reyes. I don't know, man. Poor pacing. It really ruined the pace of the card. But you know what? After that Johnny Walker, Dominic Reyes fight, the last 3, absolutely brilliant. And then we get the announcement that Derek Lewis is going to be fighting Josh Hokit at the White House card. So there we go. Excellent. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Be interesting to see. But I think that does conclude Best Bits. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more. Thank you for watching all the way until the end. If you managed to make it through the ramble, hopefully this was just on in the background while you were doing something else. But yeah, until next time, keep your chin down and keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around.